showcasing local talent, professionals, and everyday people making Salt Lake City what it is today. It's time for another episode of the I Am Salt Lake podcast.
All right, I want to welcome you out today to episode 216 of I Am Salt Lake podcast. My name's Chris Hollifield. I am the host. This is my show. Thank you so much for coming back and checking it out as I continue this journey here in Salt Lake City, sitting down with individuals, chatting with them, finding out their stories, finding out what they're doing to make the city a better place and a place that I know I could be proud to call home. Hey, today on the podcast, I sit down with Tony Mastracci with Love Utah, Give Utah. We have a great conversation. We find out what they're doing to help with the nonprofits. We find out about the day of giving. We find out about how you can get involved. And we're going to be getting into that here in just a minute. Before I do get into that, though, I want to tell you about the show sponsor, Oleo Skin and Beard, oleoskin.com. I'm actually joined by Chrissy. How you doing, Chrissy?
Good. How you doing?
Good. I know you're a big fan of all their products.
Huge fan.
More. You use a lot more of the products than I even use.
I do.
What
I have more problems.
What are some of the products that you've been enjoying with Oleo?
Oh, man. For me, the coffee scrub. They have a kale and clay mask. And my daughter, who has had some pretty bad acne problems, has been using their sea scrub and kelp and clay mask. It's actually cleared up her acne. It doesn't matter if you're 13 or 30. This stuff's awesome.
Yeah, well, and then if you're a guy like myself with a beard, you're going to want to check out their beard wash and their beard oils. And they're great. I mean, made right here in the Salt Lake City area. Great local company. Go to oleoskin.com. Use the promo code IAMSaltLake. It's going to give you 25% off of your entire purchase. If you've ever thought about using any of their products, I know you've heard me talk about them, but now is your chance to use I Am Salt Lake, get 25% off of your entire purchase if you make the order right there online. Hey, listen up. Saturday, April 9th is the next I Am Salt Lake Live happening at Club 50 West, 50 West Broadway. Got a really fun evening planned for you. Best part about it, it's a free show. Doors are at 8 o'clock. I'm going to be chatting with Jimmy Martin, Kat Martin, Lee George Cade, and Rachel Cade. That is a great lineup, and you're not going to want to miss this show. I got some new things planned for this live show. It is going to be recorded for a podcast. We're opening it up to questions at the end. So if you have any questions for myself or any of them, come prepared. The show is sponsored by Slug Magazine. So many thanks to them for sponsoring this live show again. I was really honored to have them as a sponsor again. So head on over to their website, slugmag.com. Hey, like I said, Tony Mastracci's on this episode. We have a great conversation. It was recorded at Utah Musicians Radio right here in Salt Lake City, recorded at their studios. So many thanks to John Farmer for his constant support. So with all that being said, join me now and let's find out the story of Love Utah, Give Utah. Right from the start, why don't we even explain what is Love Utah, Give Utah? I mean, that seems like a pretty good place to start.
That's a great place to start.
We might bounce a little bit all over the place. I mean, It's a podcast, and I might think of another question with this and that. But this is a learning experience even for me here. So,
So Love Utah, Give Utah is a online day of giving. So on March 31st, we will be doing it's an online giving platform. It's loveutgivut.org, and it's hosted by the Community Foundation of Utah. And the idea behind this is we provide a online platform for all Utah nonprofits across the entire state to be able to basically build a page on this platform where they can talk about their stories, they can talk about their organization, what they do, services they provide, who they serve, the places they serve, and it runs the gamut of all nonprofit organizations in the state, and it can be schools as well. So we really try and capture, there's 4,000 nonprofit organizations in the state of Utah, so there's a really big audience out there in terms of nonprofit organizations that are providing really valuable and good services across the state. So the idea is to have this one place where all nonprofit organizations can register. So there's a formal registration process because we need to make sure that they are a valid 501c3.
Sure.
That they are able to do charitable giving in the state of Utah. And so they set up this page through this platform, and then the idea is that they start to generate some feedback and some excitement about this day, and they start to talk to their donors. And so donors then will start to go to Love Utah, loveutgiveyouT.org, and start to look for organizations that are interesting to them, causes that are interesting to them. The platform is set up in a way that if you're not really sure what organization you want to give to, well, you can search by cause. You can look at different categories.
So everything's on the website.
Everything is on the website.
All the nonprofits.
So the Community Foundation, like I said, we host this website. It's actually built by a company called Razoo. And Razoo is a company that does a lot of this online giving, Giving Tuesday, and some of these other kinds of platforms that you're starting to see more and more. But what's really neat about this website is that each nonprofit basically has these, they're called tiles. So you click on the tile, you open it up, you see what $20 will buy, you'll see what $50 can provide, you can see what $150, and so the nonprofit organization can really build their message however they want. It's a really flexible platform, and it's a really neat way to try and connect with donors.
Absolutely, yeah, because I've already seen it like on Facebook.
Yeah,
what is it like? I've seen quite a bit from the Humane Society of Utah. Their posts about it, and we'll see this on there, and it's like a lot of us, we don't even know what it is. And so this is great. How long has it been around? When did it start?
This is the fourth year that the Community Foundation has been hosting this, and it really has. The platform itself has really started to evolve, and to the point where it is now in this very, very user-friendly kind of way, and really giving nonprofit organizations this ability to talk about their organization and their story through a number of ways. You can upload videos. There's all kinds of different media that you can utilize. So there's a really easy way to connect.
So how long have you been involved in all 4 years?
It's my first time around. So I started with the Community Foundation just in October.
Okay.
Yes.
I was just wondering, like, based off of like the first year, how it's growing each year.
Yeah, it's grown a lot. So last year, in 2015, we raised through the platform about $1.2 million for almost 500 nonprofit organizations across the state. So the average gift was about, I think, $56. And each person that went on to the platform on the day of giving averaged about 1.5 organizations that they gave to. So what's really neat is that you may have one organization that you're interested in, and you'll give, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
But then you're going to search for some other organizations or some other causes that are interesting for you. So it's all right there.
And a lot of times causes that you might not even be familiar with.
Absolutely.
And you're like, wow, this is
absolutely.
This is
There's
cool
a lot
here.
of nonprofits doing some really, really cool stuff across the state. So this provides them a portal to talk about those things.
And where did the idea come from? Did you? I don't know if you mentioned that yet.
I didn't. So the Community Foundation, it's kind of based out of the work that the Community Foundation of Utah does. So the Community Foundation was founded in 2008, and it is an organization that facilitates philanthropy. So the main idea behind the work that the foundation does is it provides what's called donor-advised funds. And so if for instance, you had a pot of money, $10,000, let's just say,
sure,
and you were philanthropically inclined, you could ask the Community Foundation to set up a donor-advised fund. So when you donate that money to the foundation, you get your tax deduction, you get all those benefits of donating to a 501c3. And then you tell us what organizations that you want that money to go towards. And you can continue to put money into that fund if you want, or not. It just depends. Most of the money that comes into the door for the Community Foundation in terms of donors goes right back out.
Yeah.
For philanthropy. It's our way to try and to facilitate and connect donors with organizations. So we really saw Love Utah, Give Utah as a way to continue that facilitation. What better way than to have a platform that provides a way for all kinds of nonprofit organizations in the state to tell their story. And as a donor, you can go out there and say, this is really cool. There's all kinds of different causes that I'm interested in, and there's all kinds of organizations that are doing really cool things around those causes.
So what about how does an organization get involved? I mean, because I'm sure all nonprofits aren't.
They are not
on there. I mean,
we would love them all to be.
Stipulation? Is it tough to get into it? I mean, is it too late probably now to get into it?
None of those things. So absolutely, a nonprofit organization that's interested in registering for Love Utah, Give Utah can absolutely go online to the site, loveutgiveyouth.org. There is a register now button, and all they need to do is fill out some information about their organization, the name, the size of the budget, just a few of those kinds of questions. But what they do have to have is the current documentation. So proof that they are a registered 501c3 and that they have the Utah State Charitable Solicitation Permit. So if they have those things, then they absolutely can register. There are also some nonprofit organizations that aren't yet 501c3s, but they may have a fiscal sponsor. So there's another 501c that sponsors them so that they can take in donations. They are allowed as well. They just have to register under their fiscal sponsor and have all of that requisite documentation. So it's really easy to register. And we would love to get more nonprofit organizations.
And they can register
involved.
up until the day. That's a little tight.
That's a little tight because we certainly want to give them the time to talk about their message and their story and build their page. So, we would like to get them registered as soon as possible. It takes a couple days for the page to actually go active, but then once they have that, they can create their message.
Yeah.
They can tell their story.
This is great, yeah.
Yeah, so it is something that we would like to have more nonprofit organizations associated with. We have about, in my last count, about 85 new nonprofit organizations that are registering this year that didn't register last year. So we're slowly getting the message out about this.
So like the first year, about how many? I mean, how much has it grown each year?
I'm not entirely sure how much.
Fair enough.
How many went through, but I know that it has grown. Oh boy, let me see. I think in
just curious, because I mean, I've seen it around again, on social media. I've been pretty active through the years on Twitter and Facebook and stuff like that, and you see it out there, and then it's kind of one of those things that you're not paying attention to. You don't realize it just happens on one date, and then it just disappears, and then you hear about it again. Right. And then it comes back.
Then yeah. One of the nice things that this year's platform has is that if you, Chris, went online and decided you wanted to donate for Love Utah, Give Utah, you could do it today, and it would count towards the March 31st date. So we're really trying to streamline how that donation process happens and make it as easy on people as possible. So there's like a checkout process that you would see on Amazon.com, right, where you put your donations in a shopping cart and then make one purchase at the end.
What if you crash the website, man?
That hasn't happened. I think you'll be okay. I think it's pretty robust, and we haven't had those kinds of issues, knock wood. But so there is that feature now where you can start giving now. And that donation then will count towards a day. Because what's really fun on the day, and the way we try and generate a lot of excitement with the nonprofit organizations, is that we do leaderboards. The idea being that we group nonprofit organizations into budget sort of size, right? We want to have a fairly level playing field. Having a really small nonprofit organization compete with Humane Society is a little hard.
Sure.
So we try and put them in sort of small, medium, large categories. And then they will compete on the number of unique donors that they get for the giving day, and first, second, third, fourth place prizes. So it's additional money that nonprofit organizations can receive for placing on the leaderboard above and beyond what they're raising.
So that's why they're pushing it now. That's why. Right. That's why you see a lot of these businesses or organizations. I guess it would be pushing for for this. I mean, is there any the date? I mean, what made him choose March 31st? Any particular reason?
No,
or?
It's different every year.
Oh,
like last year was March 26th. So it just kind of happens. We try and do it towards the end of March. A lot of giving happens around the holidays, so we try and have a little break between
everybody's broke, man. After
there's that as well. So we try and build in a little buffer in there, and there's a lot of these online giving days that are starting to happen around the country, and they can be large ones like the Community Foundation of Utah does, or smaller ones, very project specific, and so you're seeing a lot of these pop up as crowdfunding platforms, lots of different ways now to give, and lots of messaging that you receive on Facebook and Twitter about them.
So is there a minimum like that you have to donate?
There is. There's a $10 minimum.
$10 minimum, which is, and that's, if you're going to donate, you might as well at least donate $10 for the cause. And how much, does the nonprofit get all the money, or is there a percentage that stays? Like, how does that work?
Right. So because the platform is provided for them, when a nonprofit organization registers, it's free. They don't have to pay anything to be involved in on the giving day. So Razoo, the company that basically created this online platform, they take a percentage of each donation, about 5.9% of each donation. And then the Community Foundation, for all the marketing work that we're doing, things like this, making sure that we're getting advertising out, some of the media work that we have to do and contracting that we do, we take 1.5% of that donation.
Fair, yeah.
So then the other neat thing about the platform is that it gives the option to the donor to cover those costs.
Gotcha.
So if you were donating $100, you'll get a question that says, do you want to donate, I'm not going to be able to do my math, $107
to cover the cost.
Exactly.
To cover the cost.
So then the full amount of the donation goes to the nonprofit.
So what would be, like, say I'm using the Humane Society a lot here in these scenarios, but what would be the benefit of donating it through this versus just going down there and saying, oh, here's some money?
That's a good question. That's part of the reason why we really like to do the leaderboards, is to really generate that kind of excitement. But it is also, it's a day that nonprofit organizations can celebrate as well.
Yeah.
This is all about the state of Utah. It's all about the nonprofit organizations. And frankly, it's all about the donors in the state that are very, very generous. And it's a way to really make that connection, to kind of facilitate that philanthropy. So we see this as a day of celebration. And one of the neat things that we do, the Community Foundation does, is we do something called Love Central. So Love Central is a place where a lot of us gather and start to watch the returns come in, see what the donations are looking like. And this year it's a public coffee roaster, is where we're going to have Love Central, and we try and bring in local media to talk about Love Utah, Give Utah. Nonprofits will come to Love Central on that day, and they'll do their social media work. They'll try and talk to some of the media that's out there as well. It's just a really fun day.
Is a public invited? Obviously to that, come hang out.
Absolutely.
Do you know what's their address? It's like on 9th South, I think it is, or something like that. Because I actually saw it on Facebook.
I'm fairly new to Salt Lake, so sometimes the address is. I'm still working out.
I want to get into that thing too here in just a second. If you're new to Salt Lake, how can people get involved with this at all? Like, obviously donate money. But what if hey, I want to volunteer, I want to help out, I want to help get the word out, I think this is a great idea. What can I do to help out? Is there ways for that to happen?
Well, social media is one of the big messaging features that we try and do with the campaign. So as you learn more about what's happening on this day of giving, how then can you connect your friends on Facebook? How can you talk about this on Twitter? We have hashtags that we're using. We'll try and get those trending on the day to really try and connect more and more people that we can, because we really do find that even, we talk about it a lot and we think about Love Utah, Give Utah a lot. There's still a lot of people out there who don't know what it is.
Sure.
We have banners up and down 700 right now and on 400. So we're trying to get the word out, and it's, things like this kind of podcast, which is really helpful to connect people. So like, oh yeah, I remember seeing that, but I didn't know what it was all about. And then there's opportunity. There's always opportunities to volunteer, either at Love Central or a lot of nonprofit organizations have parties on March 31st, and they have get-togethers and gatherings about at different businesses, restaurants. They really try and generate that excitement. So that's where folks who are interested in those organizations can also get involved.
Yeah. Do you find? I mean, you mentioned you're not from Utah, but one thing I notice, I'm going to use this example, is I find people in Utah don't know how to tip. Like when they go to a restaurant, do you find people are very generous when it comes to donating to a nonprofit? I mean, I don't know how much, you can base that off of, or if you've done this in other states, or if you have statistics from other states. But do you find that people in Utah are pretty generous?
We do,
this?
and it is the amount of giving that happens here, whether it's through this day of giving or through some of the other work that we do. There are options on Love Utah, Give Utah to tip the community foundation if they want, to cover the cost of that donation, to do that little bit of extra for the nonprofit organization. That feature gets utilized a lot.
Really?
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it really does.
Because it is one of the most discouraging things. I mean, I've had service industry jobs, and it's like people here just don't know how to tip. And I don't know if they don't realize that or what, but it's like then you see a good cause like this, and it's like, hey, if you could do it, donate. Give it,
right.
If you have it. There's so many great things. I mean, and again, the Humane Society is one. I mean, I'm an animal lover, so I mean,
Absolutely.
that's a big thing. What's been the most challenging thing, the hardest thing with all of this?
It's a lot of work around the marketing and the design of the website, and making sure that we can provide an experience that is the easiest for both nonprofit organizations and the public to use, and potential donors to use. Part of the challenge for me is just I'm new, so and this is a kind of program that I've not really experienced before. So I'm lucky I have a lot of good teammates and colleagues at the Community Foundation that are willing to pitch in and provide a lot of help and assistance. We have 3 people on staff that have been through it before. The executive director, Alex Eaton, she is new as well.
Yeah.
So we're learning as we go, but
Where are you from then? Where did you come from?
So I spent the last 13 years living in Chicago.
Okay.
I worked for a nonprofit organization there called Mercy Housing, provided supportive housing for the homeless population there. And before that, lived in Austin, Texas for a while. My background's government, actually, so I worked for the city of Austin, Texas, and before that, worked for the Ohio legislature as a policy analyst. I grew up in Ohio.
So you've kind of moved all over.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, so you came to Utah. It's the Community Foundation of Utah is where you came to work for,
right?
Or what's your role there? What is your title or
my title? So my title is Director of Innovation.
Okay.
And one of the things that the Community Foundation really tries to focus on is how to build the strength of the nonprofit sector. So that's kind of the work that I'm doing, is making sure that through our programs that we have, through the training that we do things like the Social Investors Forum. We do it's called the Utah Social Enterprise Collaborative. We're trying to figure out ways that nonprofit organizations can build their strengths, so that when we connect donors to nonprofit organizations, they know that they're really strong, they're really good, they're doing really good work.
So when you came here to move to Utah for work, did you visit here at all? Did you spend any time in Utah?
So,
I'm curious your thoughts on that. I mean, I don't know how honest you want to be with that. Because some people come here and they have this weird perception a little bit of Utah, and then they come here and they go, "Well, it's actually kind of cool."
So let me tell you, it's been a very interesting 12 months. So the reason I'm here is my wife got hired at the University of Utah. She's a professor.
Oh,
so that's what brought us.
That's great.
And when we when we found out that we were going to move here, we were actually on our way to live in Birmingham, England for 6 months. So we've had this very interesting cultural transition of Chicago, Illinois, to Birmingham, England, to Salt Lake City.
So you did spend some time in England.
Yes, we lived there for 6 months.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been, well, first of all, we love it here. We love the outdoors. The university is really nice.
The University of Utah is great.
It's a great school. I adjunct there as well. I teach a nonprofit management class. They've just been super in terms of getting us acclimated here. So we love it. And, coming here didn't really have a lot of... I'd been here before. I hadn't spent a lot of time. I'd spent a little time down in St. George on vacation. I had done a little bit of consulting work where I was in Salt Lake, but not that long. So I didn't really have any kind of preconceived notions about coming here, but we love it.
Tell me your thoughts. I hear from people from time to time that they find the people to be kind of cliquey. It's kind of tough to make friends. I mean, did you find people kind of standoffish or too snobby to talk to you, or
no, I haven't.
I mean, of course, it's going to be tough to make friends anywhere. I mean, just to get into circles.
It is, but I think coming from Chicago, you find that you can kind of be on the defensive a lot.
Sure,
it's a big city, right? There's all kinds of things that are happening in Chicago. It's a much different environment. Coming here, I don't know if part of it is just being out west. There is definitely much more of sort of an independent sort of thinking here. And people do tend to leave you alone, but I've also found people to be extremely nice, very supportive, interested in what you're doing. And so... I don't know. It's just...
You've adjusted well.
I see. Yeah.
And the reason I even ask that is because I've had people email me. I mean, I've had people contact me that have found my podcast through like iTunes or something like that. And they say, hey, I'm thinking of transferring to my job there.
Yeah.
Tell me more, this and that. So, I mean, even just, hey, here's somebody that moved here, said 12 months ago. Right. You've adjusted well. You're dealing with the quirkiness. There's some quirky stuff here, but it's everywhere. It really is.
It is, and it's we've found, but my wife and I found this it feels very stable for us. We're really we've met some very nice people both at work and in our neighborhood, and it's been good.
But you're still figuring out the grid thing.
We're still figuring out the grid. Well, I am, and it's my sense of direction as well. So.
It's a very tough. The grid it's very tough to figure out, but once you figure it out, it's so easy to get around. I mean, don't get me wrong. I still turn on the GPS, and I still try. If I need to get somewhere quickly, and I want to get the quickest routes there, but. Well, that's awesome, man. I mean, so you said a little bit more about you. I mean, I always like to find out a little bit about the guest, that I have on the show. You outdoors. I mean, are you a big hiker, skier, snowboarder? I mean,
so not a skier.
Do you want to be a skier?
I'm thinking about it. Yeah, I'd like to learn. It's been a long time since I've been on skis, probably 25 years, and I didn't spend. There's not a lot of hills going on in Ohio, but
you get snow there, man.
Yeah.
Where in Ohio?
Columbus.
Columbus. Okay, because I was going to say I spent a little bit of time in Erie, Pennsylvania, which isn't too far from Cleveland.
That's right.
So
a lot of snow up there. Not as much snow in Columbus.
Well, you get that lake effect.
Yeah,
man.
Exactly. Do a lot of snowshoeing, which I really love. There's lots of great places to do that out here. And then we really haven't spent a summer here yet. We moved in kind of late July, so we're going to get out into the mountains and do a lot of hiking and
camping. You like camping, man?
We have camping gear. It's been unused for a long time, so I'd like to get back out there and start to use it some more.
Well, and that's how I am every year as well. But as long as I say, well, if I can get out at least twice a summer. Yeah. But I'll tell you right now, I mean, the summer in Salt Lake City is a magical time. I like to refer to. I mean, we have the baseball games. You have the farmers market, the downtown farmers markets, all the street festivals.
Yep.
I mean, it is a great time. Okay, so based off of. I don't know if I'm curious if you can answer this one since you've only been here for about a year. I ask this on really every podcast, but if somebody was visiting Salt Lake, is there something you would say, go check this out? Or is it maybe you haven't spent enough time here to really, have any favorite areas of town or favorite spots? Or, some people say the temple, or some people will say, I don't know. If you don't, that's fine too.
Still checking it out. Obviously, the area of town that we live in is 9th and 9th, which is a lot of fun.
Oh my gosh, that is a great
Liberty
area,
Park
man.
is great, and to be able to go hang out there. But there's still a lot that I do want to explore and have heard a lot. I have spent a very small amount of time, like a Red Butte Garden. I want to get up there a lot more. And
you got to go to their concerts in the summer.
I know.
Oh man.
So those again, just those things that are outdoors. We've done some hiking in some of the canyons, and but we want to get out some more. That's what's great about Salt Lake is that you're an hour away from all kinds of really cool stuff.
Yeah. Is there anything you would like to see different, or again, you haven't spent enough time here to really, really be able to voice your opinion on anything?
Not as of yet. It's really the Salt Lake has really appealed to both of us. We're really enjoying our time here.
What about I mentioned before I recorded? Any local eating spots? Again, time. I know you haven't been here forever, but I'm sure you've discovered. We're a mecca of excellent food here.
Absolutely. There's been lots of good. So if we're craving Mexican food, we'll always go to Red Iguana. I'm sure there's other places to go there as well.
But
they're good.
Top-notch Mexican food.
And having lived in Austin, we missed good Mexican food. So.
Have you been to both Red Iguana 2, or just the?
I can never get in the first Red Iguana. That line is always way too long. So we just go to Red Iguana 2 now. It's just our default place.
Any other favorite spots that you can think of, just out of curiosity?
We're still trying to find good Thai food. So any recommendations on that would be good.
Geez, I'm probably the wrong person to ask on Thai food.
Yeah.
But I'm sure it's out there.
I'm sure it is.
And if anybody listening, I don't know if you have an email address. Well, yeah, no. Do you care if I can even put your email address on this episode, and maybe someone could shoot you an email? Hey, go check out this Thai food, man.
Absolutely.
Because that's what a lot of this podcast is. I'm trying to just create this giant network in Salt Lake to just kind of connect everybody together. With that, but so back to the Love Utah, Give Utah. Yeah. The website's obviously active now.
It is.
You get on there, browse the nonprofits, and you can donate now.
Absolutely.
But it's up until March 31st.
That's right.
I guess is anything else? You want to talk about that, or that would be informative? Is there a goal this year that you're hoping to raise? I don't know if we touched on that.
There is. So we are hoping to register another 500 nonprofit organizations. That's what we'd like to get online. So we're getting there. We're at about 350 right now, with about 3-4 weeks left.
And I'm trying to think when this episode. I believe we figured out that this episode should go live. With plenty of time,
fantastic,
to get it up. So people listening, if you have a nonprofit,
connect them,
absolutely,
and you can use my email as well with the podcast, and we can make sure that we can get information out to those organizations to sign up. And then we're trying to raise $1.6 million this year. That's our goal. I think it's a pretty lofty goal, but we're gonna, through all the marketing efforts, getting out the information about the day of the event, increasing the number of organizations that are registering. We are still looking for sponsors for the event. So there is still there's a component to this that we really like to talk about as well, and that's employers that get involved in this. So employers that have employee giving programs can use this day as their employee giving program. So what some employers will do is that their employees will donate, and sometimes they'll match those gifts. So if they have 100 employees donating $50 each, so they generate $5,000, then that company will then match that $5,000 for the nonprofit organizations that they've donated to.
That's great.
So there's a really cool strategy, a connection with employers with this Day of Giving. And then we're always looking, the Community Foundation of Utah is always looking for sponsors from companies, organizations, foundations that want to be a part of this day and help us with the prizes, because that money is generated from our sponsors, and they there's different levels of sponsorship, and they can present checks, they can be leaderboard sponsors. There's all kinds of different ways that.
And who would they reach out to for that? Would that be yourself?
They would reach out to me.
Okay. And again, I'll put your email address at iamsaltlake.com with this episode. No, this is great, man. I've learned a lot about it. I see it all over social media, and a lot of times, it's just like you see it, but you don't really take the time to learn about it. And I'm sure this has been a great impact on the local community and then statewide.
Right. And I think for nonprofit organizations, so often they have very tight budgets.
Yeah.
Sometimes the money that they get into their organizations can only be used to provide services. So they don't have a lot of that unrestricted money that comes in that can pay for, the overhead, IT, computers, for phones, for all those things that make an organization run. So this kind of Day of Giving really provides a lot of those organizations with some money to be able to invest in themselves.
Man, I need to register this podcast as a nonprofit. You know what I mean? To help fund some of these things that I have.
It's the way that organizations get stronger. It's difficult out there. We're coming off a pretty bad recession, and nonprofit organizations are expected to do more and more. Provide services for people that either government can't or won't for whatever reason it might be. And nonprofits fill a lot of gaps. And so to figure out how we can get more unrestricted funding to those nonprofit organizations to do their great work, we love to be a part of.
Absolutely. Run down the contact information, website again.
Sure. So you can go out there. We bought a number of these domains. So it's loveutgiveyouth.org, or you can just go to loveutah.org, and that will get you to the websites. And like I said, it's active now, so nonprofits can register now, and donors can start donating now.
Awesome. And then again, do you have an easy email address, or would it be easier just to go to the website?
No. My email is Tony, Tony, at UtahCF, as in communityfoundation.org.
Excellent.
And then the Community Foundation of Utah, you can go to utahcf.org and see all of the things that the Community Foundation of Utah is doing, the different programs that we're providing, including Love Utah, Give Utah, and lots of information about the kinds of giving and philanthropic facilitation opportunities that we provide.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well, I've enjoyed our chat.
I have too.
Thank you so much. Before I hit stop recording, anything else you want to mention? We kind of got it. We kind of touched base on a lot. I think
we did. This was a great opportunity for us to continue to get our message out, and we really appreciate it.
All right. Many thanks goes out to Tony Mastracci for coming on this episode of the podcast. I had a really cool time sitting down with him and finding out more about Love Utah, Give Utah. Like I said in the podcast, a lot of times I saw the posts on Facebook, but I didn't know a whole lot about it. I didn't really know what they were about, and I didn't really even know how to get involved. So hopefully this podcast episode will help each and every one of you get a little more involved with helping some of the nonprofits that we have here in Utah. Hey, all the links, all the show notes, all that good stuff you can find at iamsaltlake.com/216 for episode 216. Head on over there. You can actually listen to all the previous episodes right there online. There's links to subscribe in iTunes. There's a link to support the podcast. A one-time donation or a monthly reoccurring donation is a great way to help keep I Am Salt Lake alive. You can also head on over to the shop. I have t-shirts. I have mugs. I got pins there. That's another really great way to help I Am Salt Lake podcast and help keep it moving forward. I got a lot of really cool things planned. So you're going to want to make sure to connect with me on social media. I don't care how you're connected. Just connect with me. I'm on all the social media platforms. So I'm here every week, though. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. It will always be free. So with that being said, I'm going to let you go. Enjoy the rest of your day or evening. Enjoy the rest of your week. Remember, get out and support local and love the city you live in.